The story opens on the peaceful homeworld of the protagonist species, a civilization known for its rich culture, deep sense of community, and advanced but non-aggressive technology. This world, let's call it Elithra, floats serenely in the uncharted outer rim of the galaxy, a place where the skies glow with twin suns and oceans shimmer with iridescent life. For generations, Elithra has been a beacon of harmony and enlightenment among its neighbors. But that peace shatters abruptly. A ruthless enemy, the Vorath Dominion, a militaristic and expansionist empire, has set its sights on Elithra. Known throughout the galaxy for their brutal conquests and merciless treatment of any who oppose them, the Vorath's forces descend upon the world with overwhelming firepower and cold efficiency. Their warships blot out the stars, and their ground forces move like a tidal wave across Elithra's once peaceful continents. The protagonist species, let's call them the Lirani, are caught unprepared. Their culture prizes diplomacy, knowledge, and defense over outright aggression. Though their technology is sophisticated, it is primarily designed for sustainability and research, not war. The initial invasion is devastating. Cities fall, communications are cut, and panic spreads like wildfire. Desperate to save their people, the Lirani leaders make the hardest decision. They send their fastest ships and their most trusted envoys into the depths of the galaxy to plead for aid. They broadcast frantic messages to allied worlds and call upon the Galactic Council, a sprawling political body representing countless species across hundreds of light years. Their cries echo through the void, messages filled with urgency, sorrow, and hope. However, their pleas are met mostly with silence or bureaucracy. The Galactic Council is tangled in political machinations, weighed down by endless debate and self-interest. Some species, wary of provoking the Vorath, advise caution. Others doubt the Lirani's strategic value or question the legitimacy of their claims. Aid is promised in vague terms, delayed by bureaucratic red tape or entirely withheld. Meanwhile, the Vorath tighten their grip. They deploy devastating weapons that scar the planet's surface and dismantle the Lirani's infrastructure. The Lirani's cities become battlegrounds, their people either fleeing underground or facing capture. Resistance groups form, but they are fragmented and poorly equipped. The emotional toll is immense. Families are torn apart. Generations of culture and history risk being erased. The Lirani's spiritual leaders hold ceremonies for the dying world, praying to the ancient stars for salvation. The protagonist's personal story unfolds against this backdrop, perhaps through the eyes of a young Lirani diplomat or a military officer struggling to keep hope alive amidst despair. Despite everything, the Lirani refuse to surrender. They cling to one belief, that somewhere in the vastness of the galaxy, someone will answer their call. They maintain radio silence only to preserve energy, sending coded messages into the darkness, hoping for a signal in return. The chapter ends on a grim note. Vorath forces land en masse on Elithra's surface, and the protagonist's world braces for the final, devastating siege. The Lirani prepare to either fight for survival or flee into the stars as refugees. The fate of their civilization hangs by a thread. This opening part establishes the emotional and narrative stakes. A proud species, on the brink of extinction, abandoned by the galaxy's powers, desperately clinging to hope. It sets up the contrast that will define the story, a galaxy indifferent to their plight versus the unexpected arrival of humanity, whose courage and determination will alter the course of history. After the devastating fall of Elithra, the surviving Lirani are scattered and broken. Their proud civilization has been reduced to ruins, and many of their people have been forced to flee their homeworld, seeking refuge anywhere beyond the reach of the relentless Vorath Dominion. The once vibrant cities and peaceful landscapes are now ghostly reminders of what was lost. The Lirani, once confident in the goodwill of the Galactic Council and the myriad alien species, have now learned the harsh truth. In the vast expanse of the galaxy, most are too self-interested, too cautious, or simply indifferent to come to their aid. As refugees drifting in the void, the Lirani carry heavy hearts and scarce resources aboard, battered starships. Morale is at its lowest and hope is fading fast. Their diplomatic corps attempts one last desperate outreach to old allies, but responses are few, lukewarm, or delayed beyond any useful time frame. The Vorath Dominion's reach continues to extend, leaving few safe havens. In this darkest hour, a faint but unmistakable signal breaks through the static and silence. A human distress beacon. This signal is unlike any the Lirani have encountered. It's raw, urgent, and layered with a kind of intensity that cuts through the despair. The humans, a species from a blue and green planet called Earth far across the galaxy, send a message that is part warning, part promise. Help is coming. The arrival of this signal stirs a mixture of skepticism and cautious hope among the Lirani survivors. They know little about humans, other than scattered rumors and half-formed legends from galactic travelers, stories of a species that thrives where others falter, that fights with unorthodox tactics, and that possesses a resilience bordering on stubbornness. Unlike the elegant and cautious Lirani, humans are reputed to be brash, fearless, and unpredictable. Some elders among the Lirani fear their temperament might cause more harm than good, while younger survivors feel a spark of hope. Maybe this is the aid they've been waiting for. The decision is made to respond to the human signal. A small delegation of Lirani emissaries sets course for the coordinates embedded in the distress beacon, hoping to meet these enigmatic new allies. Along the journey, they monitor human communication broadcasts and piecemeal intelligence. They observe humans maneuvering through contested war zones, employing unconventional warfare techniques and a tenacity that seems almost reckless, but astonishingly effective. Meanwhile, the humans themselves are depicted in flashes, battle-hardened, warriors, engineers, and diplomats who have fought countless wars on Earth and beyond, shaped by a history of surviving impossible odds. Their society values individual courage, loyalty to family and friends, and an unwillingness to surrender. They are far from perfect, impulsive, sometimes brutal, often misunderstood, but their raw determination and adaptive creativity shine like a beacon. The Lirani delegation finally arrives at a human-forward base, a hardened outpost surrounded by stars and battle scars. First contact is tense. The humans' blunt, direct style contrasts sharply with the Lirani's more formal and reserved mannerisms. Yet beneath the surface, a mutual recognition forms. Both have been battered by war, both have lost much, and both seek survival and justice. This meeting plants the seed for a fragile but critical alliance. The Lirani realize that while the wider galaxy turned away, humans might be the unexpected salvation they desperately need. The chapter closes with the Lirani envoy sending an urgent message back to the remnants of their scattered people. Help has arrived. There is hope yet. With hope rekindled among the Lirani survivors, the arrival of the humans marks a turning point in the desperate struggle for Elithra's survival. The human fleet, a striking contrast to the more delicate diplomatic vessels of the Lirani and other galactic powers, appears on the horizon with an undeniable presence. Vast, rugged warships designed for endurance and raw power rather than elegance. The humans' approach is unapologetically direct. Unlike the slow, cautious diplomacy the Lirani are accustomed to, humans deploy their forces with speed and confidence. Their leaders make it clear they are not here to negotiate or deliberate endlessly. They have come to fight and to win. The two first human commanders that the Lirani meet, grizzled veterans hardened by countless battles, carry themselves with a fierce intensity. Their language is blunt, their mannerisms direct, often startling the more reserved and protocol-driven Lirani. Yet beneath their toughness is a pragmatic kindness, a willingness to protect those who cannot protect themselves. The humans' reputation as fearless warriors and resourceful survivors quickly becomes reality as they demonstrate their tactical prowess. Human technology is unusual to the Lirani. Instead of the sleek, energy-efficient designs typical of galactic fleets, human ships feature heavily armored hulls, modular weapon systems, and unconventional defensive measures. Humans seem to value redundancy, adaptability, and firepower over aesthetics or refinement. Their weapons, while less advanced in some ways, are used with ruthless efficiency, often leveraging unpredictable tactics that catch enemies off guard. The humans also bring unique ground forces, soldiers trained in guerrilla warfare, infiltration, and survival in the harshest environments. They eschew the traditional honor codes many galactic militaries uphold, instead focusing on effectiveness and the preservation of their comrades at any cost. Their willingness to take risks and innovate tactical maneuvers surprises the Lirani and shifts the dynamics of the ongoing conflict. The turning point comes when the humans lead a daring strike to reclaim a key strategic location on Elithra. Their approach is unconventional. Rather than engaging the Vorath forces head-on in large-scale battles, the humans deploy small, highly mobile teams that sabotage supply lines, disrupt communications, and employ psychological warfare. The Lirani watch as these methods, once deemed reckless or dishonorable, systematically dismantle the enemy's control. As human and Lirani forces begin to cooperate, the initial cultural friction gradually eases. The Lirani admire the humans' unyielding resolve and willingness to endure hardship. Humans, in turn, come to respect the Lirani's deep knowledge of their homeworld and their intricate understanding of local terrain and politics. Together, they form a complementary alliance. Humans provide the muscle and tactical ingenuity. The Lirani contribute strategic insight and local expertise. Outside observers across the galaxy take notice. The Galactic Council and other alien powers watch with a mixture of skepticism, envy, and unease as humans challenge the status quo. Whispers spread that humanity, once dismissed as reckless and undisciplined, may in fact be a formidable force reshaping the balance of power. However, the arrival of humans also brings new challenges. Their blunt methods sometimes clash with the Lirani's diplomatic sensibilities, causing friction and misunderstandings. Moreover, the Vorath Dominion reacts violently, escalating their assaults to crush what they now see as a growing threat. The conflict intensifies, pushing both humans and Lirani to the edge. Despite this, the partnership holds firm. The humans' arrival is a beacon of hope in the darkest hour, a demonstration that when the galaxy turned away, there were still those who would stand and fight. The chapter ends with the combined forces preparing for a decisive campaign to reclaim Elithra, knowing that failure would mean the end of the Lirani people. With humans firmly established as allies, the alliance between the Lirani and humans begins to shape the course of the conflict against the Vorath Dominion. However, it soon becomes clear that cooperation is not as seamless as the initial battles suggested. Beneath the surface of mutual respect, deep cultural differences and contrasting approaches to warfare begin to create tensions. The Lirani have long prized diplomacy, caution, and the preservation of life, even in wartime. Their strategies emphasize precise strikes, minimizing collateral damage and maintaining moral high ground. Their soldiers are trained to avoid unnecessary aggression and to protect civilians whenever possible. The Lirani also have a strong tradition of patience, preferring to wear down an enemy through careful planning and alliances rather than outright force. Humans, on the other hand, operate under a very different ethos. Their approach is direct, pragmatic, and often brutally efficient. They believe that swift, decisive action is the key to survival and victory. Humans are willing to use whatever means necessary, including tactics that the Lirani find uncomfortable, such as ambushes, sabotage, and psychological warfare. Their soldiers often act with a rough, unpolished bluntness, which can appear reckless or disrespectful to the more refined Lirani. These differences come to a head during joint operations, on contested worlds and within the ruins of Elithra itself. For example, a mission where human forces destroy an enemy supply depot with explosives clashes with Lirani ideals about preserving infrastructure for post-war rebuilding. Heated debates break out among commanders, with some Lirani fearing that human tactics might alienate potential allies or cause unnecessary suffering to civilians. Despite these disagreements, moments of shared hardship foster understanding. The Lirani witness the humans' unwavering loyalty to each other and their willingness to risk everything for their comrades. Humans, in turn, come to appreciate the Lirani's strategic depth and intimate knowledge of their homeworld's terrain. Flora and fauna. Vital intelligence that enables precision strikes and ambushes. Individual friendships and bonds begin to form. A human scout and a Lirani intelligence officer, for example, learn from each other's strengths. One teaching guerrilla survival skills, the other sharing insights into local ecosystems and stealth techniques. Through these personal connections, the alliance deepens beyond military necessity into genuine respect and camaraderie. The Vorath Dominion, sensing this growing partnership, retaliates with increased brutality. They escalate terror tactics, targeting civilian populations to break the Lirani's will and undermine the human-Lirani alliance. This forces the allies to adapt quickly, integrating human resilience and unconventional tactics with Lirani precision to protect innocent lives while striking back. The tension between humans and Lirani also manifests politically. Some Lirani elders remain wary of human influence, fearing the loss of cultural identity or domination by this aggressive new ally. Meanwhile, some human leaders express frustration with what they see as the Lirani's excessive caution and diplomatic hesitance. These conflicts create a delicate balancing act for the alliance's leadership, who must maintain unity while navigating clashing worldviews. Yet, despite these cultural clashes, the combined forces begin to push back the Vorath. The Lirani learn to adopt more flexible tactics, inspired by human ingenuity and boldness. Humans gain patience and a strategic mindset from their Lirani allies. Together, they create new hybrid strategies that leverage the best of both worlds. By the end of this part, the alliance stands stronger, battle-hardened, and united by a shared purpose. The cultural friction has not disappeared, but it has evolved into a powerful catalyst for growth and innovation. The stage is set for the decisive confrontations ahead, where these combined strengths will be tested like never before. After enduring months of brutal warfare and cultural tension, the human-Lirani alliance reaches a pivotal moment. The combined forces, hardened by experience and united by necessity, begin to shift the momentum against the Vorath Dominion. What once seemed an impossible struggle, resisting and reclaiming their homeworld, now holds a tangible promise of victory. The turning point begins with a carefully orchestrated campaign led jointly by human commanders and Lirani strategists. This campaign targets a critical Vorath stronghold that functions as the main hub for enemy logistics and communication on Elithra. Capturing or destroying it would cripple the Vorath's ability to coordinate their forces, giving the alliance a decisive advantage. Drawing from their unique strengths, humans and Lirani devise a plan combining stealth, technology, and brute force. Small human strike teams infiltrate enemy defenses, sabotaging power grids and supply lines with surgical precision. Meanwhile, Lirani intelligence operatives exploit their knowledge of the local environment to navigate hidden paths, avoiding patrols and setting traps. The humans bring an unrelenting ferocity to the battlefront, pushing enemy forces to their limits with rapid-fire assaults and unorthodox tactics that disorient the Vorath. Their soldiers, equipped with rugged armor and versatile weaponry, demonstrate remarkable resilience, often taking on overwhelming odds without hesitation. The Lirani, complementing these attacks, coordinate orbital strikes with pinpoint accuracy, avoiding civilian casualties and preserving vital infrastructure for the post-war era. The battle is intense and costly. Vorath forces fight desperately to retain control, deploying new weapons and ruthless countermeasures. The alliance suffers losses, both military and civilian. Yet the spirit of the combined forces remains unbroken. Tales of bravery and sacrifice spread among the troops, inspiring even those who had doubted the alliance's chances. Among the key moments is a daring human-led raid deep behind enemy lines that disrupts Vorath reinforcements just as the main assault begins. This bold move, considered reckless by some Lirani commanders, turns out to be the campaign's linchpin. The raid's success sows confusion among the Vorath and prevents critical enemy forces from regrouping. Meanwhile, the Lirani's use of advanced local surveillance technology, integrating with human reconnaissance drones, enables constant battlefield awareness. This fusion of human adaptability and Lirani scientific expertise gives the Alliance an edge in anticipating enemy movements and responding swiftly. The success of the campaign reverberates beyond Elythra. News of the human intervention and the Alliance's victories spread across the galaxy, challenging long-held prejudices against humanity. Some species that had ignored the Lyrani's pleas begin reconsidering their positions, watching closely to see how this new power dynamic unfolds. Politically, the Alliance solidifies. Lyrani elders begin to set aside fears of cultural domination, recognizing that the humans' unconventional methods and unyielding spirit are key to survival. Humans, too, grow more respectful of the Lyrani's values and knowledge, understanding that raw force alone cannot win this war. Despite the progress, the Vorath Dominion is far from defeated. They regroup and prepare for a desperate counter-offensive, signaling that the final stages of the conflict will be even more brutal. The Alliance steels itself, aware that the coming battles will determine the fate of Elythra and the legacy of their partnership. This part closes on a note of cautious optimism. The tide has turned, but the cost has been high and the road ahead remains perilous. The humans, once outsiders and skeptics, are now inseparable from the Lyrani's struggle, a symbol of hope, resilience, and the power of unexpected alliances. The final chapter of this epic struggle sees the culmination of years of relentless warfare, sacrifice, and unlikely unity. After the decisive campaigns that began turning the tide, the human-Lyrani alliance faces its ultimate test, a massive, all-out battle to liberate Elythra from the grasp of the Vorath Dominion once and for all. The Vorath, desperate to retain their dominance, throw everything into a final counterattack. Their forces, bolstered by reinforcements from distant sectors, launch a brutal assault aimed at crushing the Alliance's foothold. The battlefield becomes a maelstrom of fire and steel, with the fate of Elythra and its people hanging in the balance. Despite the overwhelming odds, the humans and Lyrani fight with unparalleled determination. The Alliance has grown beyond a mere military partnership. It is now a fusion of cultures, strengths, and hopes. The Lyrani's intricate knowledge of their homeworld's terrain enables them to anticipate Vorath maneuvers, while human ingenuity introduces unpredictable strategies that disrupt enemy formations. In the heat of battle, stories of heroism abound. Soldiers from both species risk their lives to save comrades, civilians find courage to resist occupation, and leaders demonstrate unwavering resolve. The battlefield is no longer just a place of conflict. It becomes a symbol of unity and survival. The battle rages. The Alliance employs innovative tactics born from their shared experiences. Human forces lead daring ground assaults while Lyrani command orbital strikes that disable enemy supply routes. Coordinated cyber warfare disrupts Vorath communications, throwing their command structure into chaos. The combined effect overwhelms the Dominion's forces. The turning point in this final battle comes when a coordinated strike force, blending human special operations units with Lyrani reconnaissance teams, infiltrates the Vorath command center. After intense close-quarters combat, they succeed in capturing the Vorath leadership or forcing their surrender, effectively ending the Dominion's hold over Elythra. The victory is bittersweet. The homeworld is scarred, cities lie in ruins, and countless lives have been lost. Yet the resilience of the Lyrani people, bolstered by human support, shines through the devastation. The Alliance celebrates not only the liberation of Elythra, but also the forging of a lasting bond between two very different species. In the aftermath, the story shifts toward rebuilding and reconciliation. Humans help the Lyrani restore infrastructure, establish defenses to prevent future invasions, and train local forces. Cultural exchanges flourish, with both species learning from each other's histories, arts, and philosophies. The Galactic Council, witnessing the success of the human intervention and the strength of the human-Lyrani alliance, begins to reconsider its own policies. Some member species, previously indifferent or hostile toward humanity, now view humans with newfound respect and wariness. The balance of power in the galaxy subtly shifts, signaling that humans have arrived as a force to be reckoned with. For the Lyrani, this new chapter is about reclaiming identity and autonomy. strengthened by the realization that their survival was not left to fate or galactic politics, but to the tenacity and courage of unlikely allies. For the humans, it is a confirmation of their reputation as stubborn survivors and fierce defenders of those who cannot defend themselves. The story closes on a hopeful yet realistic note. The galaxy remains a dangerous and uncertain place, but the bonds forged in fire between humans and Lirani suggest that cooperation and courage can overcome even the darkest threats. Humanity's arrival in this conflict was no accident. It was a turning point, a demonstration that sometimes when the galaxy turns its back, only humans stand up.